Hey guys, this is Leeza. Today I wanted to talk about crying because we live in this society where there's a stigma attached to feeling sad. It's like there's this constant pressure to always seem happy and confident and sure of yourself, like everything is okay 100% of the time, when in fact that's not the case. But we're made to feel embarrassed of ever feeling sad or vulnerable, as if it's shameful or a sign of weakness or something if you cry or express emotion. And especially if you're a guy, it's like pretty much considered abnormal or inappropriate to ever show sadness. And because we've internalized these ideas that it's bad to be sad, we might even judge others when we see them crying, and thereby we perpetuate this idea that it's something that you should be embarrassed of and only do when you're absolutely alone in your room where no one can see you, if at all. But actually, crying is just a natural emotional response. It's just your body being your body and your brain being your brain. That's how we as human beings are programmed to deal with stress or sadness or fear or anxiety or just being overwhelmed. It's a normal emotional response. Telling someone not to cry is like telling someone don't shiver when they're freezing. You're just coping with the situation in the way that you're programmed to do. So it is okay to cry. In fact, not only is it okay to cry, it's actually good to cry, because after you cry, you actually feel better. You feel less pain and you feel more at ease. Crying relieves stress. It's actually proven that crying also helps pain become more bearable, and it clears your mind and you tend to sleep better. So there are benefits to crying because it's just your body's way of getting rid of excess emotion and stress. In fact, so compelling are the therapeutic benefits of crying that in Japan, they organize these large-scale events where people come together and read really sad books or watch really sad movies and just all cry together. Public crying events. Just think of, you can Google it. I'm not even making this up. And it's not because the Japanese are big on crying in front of each other that they do this. In fact, it's exactly the opposite, because Japanese culture is extremely austere and formal, and they expect people to sort of hide any feelings of disappointment or sadness. And that's why these events do so well, because everyone is actually desperate for an emotional release. And you know what? We all look for this sort of emotional release. Like, who hasn't seen adults crying in the corner of a movie theater? I definitely remember as a kid, one of the first times I saw like grown men crying was at K3G, watching it as a 10-year-old. I definitely noticed my uncles crying in the corner. If we're honest with ourselves, surely we all experience feelings of sadness and self-doubt and pain. And not only is it normal, it's an inevitable part of the human experience. And so crying is just probably the most beneficial way of letting it all out. Because if you don't give release to your emotions, sometimes you bottle it all up and then they come out when you're not expecting it and in much more destructive ways. You might find yourself crying when you're witnessing someone else experience a moment of joy and you ruin that moment for them. Or you might lose your shit at someone who works for you because you know they have to take it. Or you might, get really mad while driving. Road rage is a common way that people manifest their extra emotion. And so instead of finding these sort of destructive or violent and sort of beyond your control ways of expressing that emotion, it's better to just let it out when you feel it, Go find yourself a comfortable and safe place where you feel at home and just cry, scream, do whatever you need to get it all out of your system when you feel it, rather than bottling it all up and then having no control over it when it pops out. And to any guys watching, crying does not make you less masculine. It is perfectly okay for men to express emotion, even though we're brought up to believe that boys shouldn't cry. That's just not the case. In fact, it is much, much better for you if you do cry when you feel sad than sort of allowing for that sadness to marinate into anger. I think men tend to experience emotion in such a way that the only way they can express it is violently. And who benefits from that, right? So cry if you need to, sob. You can cry loudly if you need to. Get it all out. It is okay to cry. And the next time you happen to see someone cry, instead of telling them don't cry, which is what most of us do, just let them do their thing. If you're feeling helpful, you can give them some tissue or ask if they need a hug and then carry on. Maybe you'll be inspired to cry as well. So the bottom line is, it is okay to cry. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you liked it. And as always, I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.